I'd ask you to sit down, but you're not going to anyway. Why don't you come and have a sit this time?
Maybe I'll stand.
Well, suit yourself.
I felt like sitting.
I know. Candy?
You already know if I'm going to take it?
Wouldn't be much of an oracle if I didn't.
But if you already know, how can I make a choice?
Because you didn't come here to make the choice. You've already made it. You're here to try to understand why you made it. I thought you'd have figured that out by now.
Why are you here?
Same reason. I love candy. I still love candy.
No, thank you.
The first arrow always hits. You're gonna feel that it's like just hit your ego, for example. Make sure the second arrow doesn't hit. And the second arrow is the one that oftentimes you are shooting at yourself. Because after the first one hit, you are crying about being hit. I observe, what is this sensation? What is it that I call, that human called pain? I can detect, I can feel, and then you learn to release.
I'm gonna enjoy watching you die. Mr. Anderson, goodbye. Mr. Anderson, my name is Leo.
He's gone.
Goodbye, Mr. Anderson.
So I'm going to give you a quick summary along with real world examples that you can use. So first of all, when it comes down to your emotions, your feelings, they exist prior to your experience with a situation. With the ability to imagine a circumstance, you can imagine how you're going to feel in that circumstance and how you're likely to respond to any given thing. At the very least, you can be selfish about this and decide that you're not going to arbitrarily allow individuals to manipulate your feelings, your emotions in ways that you choose for them not to do. So people that you're aware of, right? This would be contemplating before you get into an interaction, right? Someone you don't like, you know why you don't like them. You have many reasons, examples, right? So now instead of waiting to interact with them to see what happens, you assume that either they're intentionally or unintentionally going to come and try and destroy your situation, your mood. So if it's intentional, fuck them, right? Like if they're going to try and mess with me, good luck, right? I just turn this into a game. Now I'm going to be sitting here watching and I'm making sure that no matter what happens, even if you were to somehow like actually hurt my feelings, the last thing I'm going to do is let you actually see that. But ultimately, because I'm playing a game now and I'm not trying to like argue with your idea and then get all hyped up, I'm more just thinking to myself, what kind of stupid, what kind of arrogant, or whatever word I want to put on it to allow me to think about what you're saying with respect to my feelings that I don't want you to influence. And if it's unintentional, then how does being upset help? I think everyone can assume that for like the majority of circumstances, getting upset makes the ability to communicate more difficult, right? They get more upset. It doesn't help. But then ultimately, aside from the objective reason, there's also the subjective. Like, do you enjoy being upset? Do you like the feeling of being upset? And so if objectively it doesn't help, subjectively you don't desire it, you don't like it, then why the hell would you get upset at someone who's unintentionally, like you don't get mad at some animal for being dumber than a person, but you might get mad at a person you expect to do more than they should. Recognize that if a person raised in the woods by wolves will basically revert to being a wolf, that anywhere between a wolf person and the crappiest person that you need to imagine to allow yourself to respond in a way that puts you in like the adult's chair, right? So that way it's like a kid trying to mess with you. They don't have any choice. They don't have any option. And so now in this circumstance, you took what was going to be a negative thing and you turn it into something that was enjoyable. Because now this person you don't like, you're watching them flustered, trying to do whatever harm you perceive them trying to do to you. And you're just laughing inside because you know that they can't get to you now. Another way you can think about this more directly as far as like how effective this is just to imagine any of the most harmful things that anyone could say to you that would just, make you really upset. And now imagine that those words are being said or yelled at you through your car window by a schizophrenic homeless individual who's out there talking to themselves on the regular. Recognize that simply because, that's a crazy homeless person, there's not going to be any sort of emotional response where you're like, don't call me that. My pronoun is this, or, that doesn't, whatever, gets you upset, right? Yeah. Because you can detach your emotions from this individual's verbiage describing you or whatever they're trying to do, because you evaluate what you are getting from them before you allow it to interact with you directly, because you're just more cautious when it comes to someone who's homeless and talking to themselves. But someone who on the outside may look like they match you socioculturally, economically, then you may be more inclined to allow them to manipulate you. But that's just the worst thing that our Western community does, that we don't understand that our feelings are completely within our control, but we've been bred, taught through TV, everything to influence us to think that when someone responds to us negatively, that we need to respond negatively. Somebody came at me with some Trump thing and I'm a liberal, I gotta go opposite, or vice versa. I gotta argue why Trump's the best. Whatever the situation is that you're gonna let yourself get upset about, what are the odds you're gonna convince this person? They're as emotional, they're as hyped as you could be getting. You think you're going to be effective at converting them? No? Well, then why the hell are you going through this experience? Just because they are wrong or right, or because you have to, you're trying to justify it? No. Just pull out, right? Be done. Wipe your hands of this shit. Start recognizing that you have complete control over your subjective reality, which is what all of objective reality is designed to function around, right? Objective reality doesn't suffice when you don't have a subjective reality that's allowable. If you don't believe that, take a look at Mac Miller's Tiny Desk concert that he put out as a suicide note 30 days before he OD'd. Do you want it all if it's all mediocre? Staring at the wall and the wall full of posters, looking at my dreams and who I want to be. Guess you got to see it to believe it. Oh, I've been a fool, but that's cool. That's what human beings do, whatever. Goes into talking about like, I wrote this song to remind me because he messes up and he can feel his fingers slipping in a motherfucking instant he'll be gone. Right? Like, that's just one of many examples of someone who has everything in the objective world, but has yet to line up their subjective reality with their objective world, with their beliefs, right? Through reality testing. This is a really important thing. There's so many other relevant aspects of this film that apply to everyday life, along with song lyrics, along with other films. So I might be doing a little bit more of this in the future. If you like this, comment below, let me know. Definitely subscribe, because I've got a bank of videos to drop soon, handling all sorts of topics like this. So thanks for watching.
Want it all if it's all mediocre?
Unfortunately, no one can be told what...
In my dreams, who I want to be. I guess you gotta see it to believe.
You have to see it for yourself.
9 times out of 10 I get it wrong. That's why I wrote this song. Tell myself to hold on. I can feel my fingers slipping in a motherfucking instant, I'll be gone.
Are you a rich man?
When you mean rich, what you mean?
You have a lot of possessions? A lot of money in the bank?
Position make you rich? I don't have that type of richness. My richness is life, forever.